Life has a way of presenting itself in fragments. We chase promotions, check off milestones, and tick boxes in our careers and personal lives, often believing that success is synonymous with accomplishment. Yet, what if the very measures we chase are not the ones that ultimately bring fulfillment? Clayton Christensen, James Allworth, and Karen Dillon confront this question head-on, asking a deceptively simple but profoundly disruptive question. How will you measure your life? This question is not meant to evoke mere reflection. It is a call to action. It demands that we examine the metrics guiding our decisions from the boardroom to the bedroom and confront the uncomfortable truth that the most meaningful outcomes often cannot be quantified. In an era dominated by data, KPIs, and quarterly targets, Christensen and his co-authors challenge us to consider what truly defines a life well lived. If you love powerful, insightful, and life-changing books, then you've found the right channel. Every week, we break down the ideas that transform mindsets, elevate success, and shift lives. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you'll want to catch every book we review. Let's continue. The first lesson they impart is that strategy is not only for businesses, it is for life. Just as companies succeed or fail based on the clarity and execution of their strategy, individuals succeed or flounder depending on how intentional their life strategy is. Too often, people allow circumstances, short-term pressures, or external expectations to dictate their path, believing that life will work itself out. Christensen warns that without conscious design, life drifts toward outcomes that may satisfy the world but not your soul. Consider Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Meta, formerly Facebook. Early in her career, she made deliberate choices to focus on work-life balance, leadership development, and mentoring, not just promotions or public accolades. Her strategic approach to career, relationships, and personal growth created a life trajectory where professional success aligned with personal fulfillment. Globally, similar lessons can be seen in Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, who systematically shaped his professional ventures around long-term vision rather than short-term gains, balancing business success with societal contribution. The authors caution against living life reactively, where priorities are dictated by crises, market pressures, or others' expectations. Instead, they advocate defining clear guiding principles early on. This includes identifying what is truly important, such as relationships, personal integrity, and long-term contribution, and ensuring that daily decisions reinforce these values. The danger of marginal thinking. Christensen introduces a concept called marginal thinking, borrowed from economics, but applied to life. The idea that small, seemingly insignificant choices accumulate over time, shaping character and destiny. While many treat ethics, honesty, and loyalty as marginal considerations, bending rules here or cutting corners there, the consequences compound over years, often in irreversible ways. A striking example is the Enron scandal. Executives rationalized small ethical compromises, believing each was insignificant. The accumulation of marginal deviations from integrity ultimately led to one of the largest corporate collapses in history, leaving careers, reputations, and lives shattered. Globally, the Volkswagen emissions scandal mirrors this pattern. Marginal shortcuts in engineering decisions cascaded into a catastrophic breach of trust and legal consequences. For individuals, marginal thinking can manifest in seemingly trivial choices, skipping quality time with family to work late, ignoring small acts of dishonesty, or tolerating toxic relationships for convenience. Christensen emphasizes that the aggregation of these small choices defines whether a life is meaningful or hollow. The importance of purpose and alignment. Closely tied to strategy and marginal thinking is the principle of aligning everyday actions with enduring purpose. Success is hollow when it is misaligned with values. The authors argue that people should consciously define what matters most, not simply in broad strokes, but in actionable terms that guide decisions in every domain of life. Take Howard Schultz of Starbucks.
His decisions, from employee health care benefits to ethical sourcing of coffee, reflected an alignment between business strategy and personal values. This alignment not only fostered sustainable corporate success, but also created personal fulfillment and social impact. On a global scale, Muhammad Yunus, founder of Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, built microfinance systems rooted in the value of human dignity and empowerment, demonstrating that purpose-driven actions can reshape industries and lives alike. The lesson is clear. Without intentional alignment, life drifts toward expediency, convenience, and external approval rather than fulfillment. Purpose is the anchor that ensures your decisions accumulate in the direction of a life well lived. Relationships, the foundation of meaningful success. Christensen and his co-authors stress that career achievements are hollow if disconnected from nurturing relationships. It is the investments in family, friendships, and community that produce enduring satisfaction. Studies cited in the book reveal that people consistently report relationships as the most significant contributor to happiness, whereas promotions, accolades, or material wealth provide only transient satisfaction.
Consider Barack Obama balancing the presidency with family. His deliberate effort to maintain strong relationships with his daughters and Michelle Obama, despite unprecedented professional pressures, illustrates that prioritizing relational investments creates long-term fulfillment. Globally, leaders like Nelson Mandela demonstrated that sustaining relationships and trust is central to meaningful influence, even under extreme personal and professional pressures. Christensen presents a cautionary tale. Sacrificing relationships for professional gain may yield short-term success, but erodes long-term happiness. Just as businesses can fail if they ignore stakeholder relationships, lives flounder when human connections are neglected. The balance of life and work. The authors argue that conventional success metrics, salary, job title, prestige, often mislead us into thinking that maximizing work leads to a maximized life. They propose a framework of balance where work serves life's broader purpose rather than consuming it. American tech leaders like Bill Gates exemplify this principle. While Gates was intensely committed to Microsoft, he consciously prioritized personal growth, philanthropy, and family in later stages of his career. Globally, Ratan Tata of India maintained rigorous work standards but cultivated humility, generosity, and social responsibility, showing that professional influence and personal fulfillment can coexist harmoniously. Christensen emphasizes that work-life balance is not a superficial adjustment. It is an intentional allocation of resources, energy, and attention to ensure that professional success supports rather than undermines life fulfillment. The role of integrity in long-term success. A recurring theme in the book is integrity as a non-negotiable driver of meaningful achievement. Christensen points out that compromises, even small ones, can accumulate into catastrophic failures. Ethical lapses not only damage external reputation, but erode internal confidence and satisfaction. Consider Wells Fargo's fake account scandal. Employees felt pressured to meet targets, resulting in marginal ethical compromises that ultimately escalated into a global scandal. Conversely, leaders like Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany, exemplify how integrity in decision-making sustains both personal credibility and societal trust over decades. The embedded lesson is profound. Success without integrity is unsustainable, and fulfillment cannot exist without moral consistency. Decision-making under uncertainty. Christensen emphasizes that life, unlike business models, does not come with guaranteed outcomes. Even the most meticulously planned strategy can face unforeseen disruptions, health challenges, market collapses, or personal crises. Therefore, the key is building a framework for decision-making that prioritizes principles over short-term gains. He illustrates this with the analogy of resource allocation in companies. In businesses, executives face trade-offs, deciding which projects, teams, or investments will yield the greatest long-term value.
Similarly, in life, individuals must allocate time, energy, and attention across career, family, personal growth, and community. Failing to do so intentionally results in drift and regret. Consider Satya Nadella's transformation of Microsoft. Nadella reallocated company resources towards cloud computing, a long-term, uncertain investment despite short-term shareholder pressure to maintain traditional products. His strategic prioritization mirrors the principle Christensen advocates for life: focus on actions aligned with long-term purpose, not transient pressure. In Japan, the Toyota production system emphasizes long-term efficiency over immediate profit. Workers and leaders make small but deliberate trade-offs daily, ensuring that resources support sustainable growth. Individuals can emulate this by consistently making small choices that favor enduring values over instant gratification. Motivation. What drives behavior? Christensen highlights a subtle but critical truth. People rarely act purely rationally. Motivation often drives decisions more than logic. He draws on research distinguishing between intrinsic motivation, driven by meaning, mastery, and purpose, and extrinsic motivation, driven by rewards, recognition, or fear of punishment. Careers driven solely by extrinsic rewards, high salary, status, accolades, may achieve success, but often at the cost of fulfillment. Work motivated by intrinsic factors, creating value, learning, helping others, produces resilience, satisfaction, and sustained engagement. Example from the U.S. Doctors Without Borders volunteers are often underpaid, work under extreme conditions, and face personal risk. Yet intrinsic motivation, helping others and contributing to global health, drives their sustained effort and fulfillment. Globally, in Brazil, educators in underserved communities frequently work under severe constraints. Those who persist are motivated not by compensation, but by purpose, the potential to transform young lives. Christensen underscores that aligning intrinsic motivation with daily actions is essential for realizing hidden potential and meaningful success. The trap of complacency and slippery slopes. The authors caution against sliding into complacency. Many individuals and organizations fail not due to major missteps, but because of gradual erosion of values and focus. Small compromises, tolerated repeatedly, snowball into major failures, a concept Christensen terms the slippery slope. American examples, Enron and Lehman Brothers, illustrate this vividly. At Enron, minor ethical compromises compounded into corporate disaster. At Lehman Brothers, risk mismanagement escalated slowly until it triggered systemic collapse. Globally, the Volkswagen emissions scandal shows how incremental rationalizations of minor shortcuts accumulate into catastrophic ethical failure. Christensen's lesson is stark. Protecting your integrity daily is critical. Small lapses, if unchecked, can derail a lifetime of effort and value creation.
Career and personal trade-offs. Life requires trade-offs between work and family, ambition and health, short-term rewards, and long-term fulfillment. Christensen emphasizes that making these decisions consciously, based on principles and purpose rather than external pressure, is the hallmark of a life measured well. American example, Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, faced intense trade-offs between career and family. She intentionally structured her life to maintain both, even if that meant slower career progression at certain points. Her experience illustrates that deliberate trade-offs guided by priorities produce fulfillment rather than regret. Global example, in China, Jack Ma faced decisions balancing Alibaba's rapid growth with employee welfare and ethical business practices. By adhering to long-term vision rather than immediate profit, he built a sustainable enterprise that continues to have global impact. The key lesson is that trade-offs are inevitable, but conscious, principle-based trade-offs generate alignment with purpose, while reactive or convenience-based trade-offs often lead to regret. The measurement of success beyond wealth.
Christensen and his co-authors urge readers to redefine success beyond financial metrics or status. The true measure lies in relationships nurtured, integrity maintained, purpose pursued, and lives positively impacted. American example: Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, whose television career focused not on fame or wealth, but on nurturing children's emotional development, left a legacy far greater than most financial empires. Global example: Nelson Mandela sacrificed personal comfort and safety to create systemic change. His life demonstrates that enduring success is measured not in material accumulation, but in moral and social impact. Handling failure and adversity. Another critical insight from the book is that failure is inevitable, but response determines legacy. Christensen argues that setbacks should be interpreted as opportunities to learn, refine purpose, and strengthen relationships, rather than as indictments of ability or worth. American example: J.K. Rowling, initially rejected by multiple publishers, continued writing because her intrinsic motivation and purpose, telling meaningful stories, remained central. Her persistence transformed adversity into global literary success. Global perspective. During the 2008 financial crisis, Icelandic entrepreneurs pivoted from failing traditional industries to innovation in tourism and technology. Their adaptive response demonstrates that reframing failure can unlock hidden potential and unexpected opportunity. Systematic design of a meaningful life. Christensen proposes that meaningful lives are designed intentionally, not left to chance. Just as businesses create strategic plans, individuals should design a life strategy grounded in purpose, relationships, and integrity. This involves 1. Defining what matters most in career, relationships, and personal growth. 2. Creating habits that reinforce values rather than undermine them. 3. Prioritizing investments of time and energy aligned with long-term goals. 4. Regularly reflecting and adjusting to ensure alignment with evolving circumstances and aspirations. American example: Jeff Bezos built Amazon based on long-term principles, emphasizing customer obsession and innovation. While he achieved material success, he also intentionally structured investments in personal projects, space exploration, and philanthropy to align with broader purpose. Global perspective. Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, founded by Mohammed Yunus, illustrates life-altering impact. By systematically designing initiatives aligned with social purpose, he created a legacy that elevated millions out of poverty. As we advance, Christensen, Allworth, and Dillon turn their attention to the human, relational, and ethical dimensions of life, areas too often neglected in the pursuit of conventional success. They argue that how we treat others, manage our commitments, and leave a legacy ultimately defines the measure of a life far more than any career title or financial milestone. Relationships as the true measure of life. Christensen asserts that relationships are the central currency of life. While wealth, status, and professional accomplishments are visible markers of success, they are transient and external. By contrast, relationships sustain meaning, influence, and fulfillment over a lifetime. American example: consider Michelle Obama, whose life exemplifies balancing a high-profile career with the cultivation of deep, supportive relationships with family, friends, and community. Her commitment to these relationships amplified her influence and fulfillment beyond professional achievements. Global example: Dalai Lama demonstrates the enduring impact of relationships through compassion, mentorship, and diplomacy, affecting millions worldwide. Christensen emphasizes that nurturing relationships requires deliberate effort and intentional time allocation, rather than assuming that proximity or occasional contact is sufficient. The lesson is clear: invest in people consistently, as the quality of your relationships directly determines the depth of your life's fulfillment. Avoiding career and life drift. One of the book's most striking warnings is against career and life drift. Many individuals pursue goals without conscious reflection, allowing external pressures, market trends, societal expectations, or the ambitions of others to dictate their path. Drift may produce superficial success, but rarely yields fulfillment. American example, tech professionals in Silicon Valley often find themselves in roles they did not intentionally choose, working long hours for prestige or salary rather than aligned purpose. Many later pivot to entrepreneurship or socially impactful projects when they recognize the misalignment. Global example. In Europe, young professionals in multinational corporations sometimes report mid-career dissatisfaction despite impressive resumes, realizing that external achievements did not align with personal values. Christensen stresses that intentional planning, defining a personal strategy, understanding trade-offs, and reflecting regularly is essential to avoid drift. Drift also affects family life and personal health. Without deliberate effort, professional success can inadvertently erode the very relationships and well-being that constitute true life satisfaction.
The role of ethics and moral compass. Christensen and his co-authors consistently emphasized that ethical behavior is non-negotiable in a meaningful life. Success built on shortcuts, deception, or compromise may appear advantageous in the short term, but carries long-term consequences: financial, emotional, and reputational. The Wells Fargo fake account scandal illustrates how small ethical lapses compounded into organizational and personal catastrophe. Employees rationalized minor deviations until the consequences became systemic. In South Africa, corporate corruption scandals have similarly demonstrated how eroded ethics undermine both business sustainability and social trust. The lesson? Ethics are foundational, not optional, for a life that counts. Christensen encourages reflection on the incremental choices we make daily, reminding readers that each small decision accumulates to define character and life trajectory. Developing and leaving a legacy. A critical theme of the book is legacy, the enduring impact of our choices beyond our lifetime. Legacy is not merely about wealth transfer, but the values, influence, and societal contributions left behind. Christensen argues that individuals who design their lives intentionally and invest in relationships create impact that transcends material success. Fred Rogers, who built generations' emotional resilience and empathy through television, left a legacy not measured in dollars, but in human transformation. Wangari Maathai, founder of the Greenbelt movement in Kenya, created lasting environmental and social impact, empowering countless communities. Her legacy is a testament to the profound consequences of principled action and long-term vision. The lesson is explicit. Life should be measured by the positive influence you leave, the integrity you uphold, and the relationships you nurture. These elements endure long after fleeting external accolades fade. Mentorship and guiding others. Christensen highlights the dual role of mentorship, receiving guidance and imparting wisdom. Mentorship magnifies the impact of your life and accelerates both personal and collective growth. Leaders like Bill Campbell, mentor to many Silicon Valley executives, demonstrated that investing in others' development multiplies influence and strengthens organizations. Nelson Mandela's mentorship of South African leaders ensured that the values of justice, equality, and resilience endured across generations. Christensen emphasizes that mentoring is not an add-on. It is integral to designing a meaningful life that extends beyond personal gains. Habit and consistency, building the life you want. The authors underscored the importance of consistent daily habits, arguing that deliberate action over time compounds into character and legacy. Life is less shaped by isolated grand gestures and more by repeated, aligned choices. James Clear's research on habit formation aligns with Christensen's point.
Small, consistent behaviors, aligned with values, compound to produce extraordinary results. In Japan, Kaizen principles demonstrate continuous improvement through incremental change, showing how sustained effort leads to mastery and organizational success. Similarly, in personal life, consistent attention to relationships, ethical conduct, and personal growth ensures that long-term fulfillment is achievable. The integration of work, family, and purpose. A recurring insight is that a meaningful life integrates professional ambition with personal priorities. Work should serve life's broader goals, not dominate them. Purpose, relationships, and integrity are the guiding metrics. Professional success is meaningful only when it supports these areas. Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks, built a company that prioritized employee welfare alongside growth. His decisions reflect the integration of professional, ethical, and personal priorities. Ratan Tata, industrialist in India, led enterprises that balanced profitability with societal responsibility, showing that meaningful work considers stakeholders beyond immediate financial gain. Christensen's lesson: success without integration is fragile. Fulfillment requires alignment. As we arrive at the final section, Christensen, Allworth, and Dillon converge the lessons of strategy, ethics, relationships, and purpose into a comprehensive framework for living a life measured well. By now, it is clear, life cannot be left to chance or external pressures. Success is not merely wealth, titles, or recognition. It is the cumulative result of deliberate decisions, consistent habits, and principled action aligned with long-term purpose. The daily practice of measuring your life. One of the most actionable lessons is that life should be measured daily, not just in hindsight. Every decision, however small, is a test of alignment with your values and priorities. Christensen encourages readers to ask themselves questions such as, does this choice support the life I want to build? Am I investing time in people who matter most? Would I be proud of this decision if it were public?
Warren Buffett maintains a life of disciplined, principle-driven choices, whether in investment, philanthropy, or personal conduct. His daily adherence to core values compounds into extraordinary impact over decades. Aung San Suu Kyi in Myanmar, prior to political controversies, illustrates how daily commitment to principles and moral courage can inspire a nation, even under prolonged adversity. The lesson is that measurement is not abstract. It is embedded in the minute-to-minute, choice-by-choice execution of life, prioritizing relationships and love. Christensen reiterates that relationships are not merely supplementary, they are central. Sustaining meaningful connections requires time, attention, and intentionality, much like any high-value investment. Neglect erodes trust and intimacy, while consistent nurturing yields exponential returns in joy, support, and legacy. Barack and Michelle Obama prioritized family rituals and connection amidst enormous professional responsibilities, demonstrating that relationships can coexist with high-pressure careers. Japanese Ikigai philosophy emphasizes social bonds and purpose as central to life satisfaction. Christensen's lesson is universal. Investing in relationships is not optional. It is foundational to a life well measured. Confronting and embracing failure. A key insight is that setbacks are inevitable, but not defining. Christensen emphasizes that how we respond to failure reveals character and determines lasting impact. Failure should be reframed as feedback, a compass pointing toward better decisions, growth, and alignment with purpose. J.K. Rowling experienced repeated publishing rejections before achieving global literary impact. Her intrinsic motivation, persistence, and commitment to her craft transformed adversity into opportunity. During the 2008 Icelandic economic crisis,
entrepreneurs pivoted to innovation in tourism, technology, and creative industries, demonstrating resilience and adaptability in the face of widespread failure. Christensen teaches that embracing failure as a teacher, not a judge, is essential for both personal and professional development. Strategy, purpose, and long-term thinking. Christensen repeatedly underscores that a life well measured requires strategic foresight. Just as companies allocate resources for long-term sustainability, individuals must invest their energy, talent, and attention where it will yield enduring fulfillment and impact. American example, Jeff Bezos strategically built Amazon over decades with long-term goals, defying short-term pressures while also investing in personal ventures like Blue Origin to align with purpose beyond profit. Muhammad Yunus, founder of Grameen Bank, designed his life's work around a long-term mission of social empowerment, demonstrating how strategic alignment with purpose can transform millions of lives. Christensen's principle is clear. Short-term expediency must never overshadow long-term values, relationships, and purpose. Legacy. Living beyond yourself. Ultimately, Christensen challenges readers to consider the legacy they wish to leave. Legacy is not measured in wealth alone, but in the lives touched, the trust cultivated, and the principles upheld. It is the culmination of relationships, integrity, and contribution. American example, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, built a legacy of emotional education and compassion for children, demonstrating that influence can far exceed financial metrics. Global perspective, Wangari Maathai, founder of the Greenbelt movement, leaves a legacy of environmental stewardship and community empowerment that continues to inspire globally. Christensen teaches that a well-measured life is one where impact endures beyond individual presence. Integrating all lessons into actionable practice. Christensen, Allworth, and Dillon provide a roadmap for translating principles into daily action. 1. Define your purpose. Clarify what matters most in work, family, and society. 2. Align daily decisions. Ensure actions reflect long-term goals and values. 3. Prioritize relationships. Dedicate consistent time and effort to nurture meaningful connections. 4. Protect integrity. Avoid incremental ethical compromises. Small lapses compound. 5. Embrace failure. Reframe setbacks as learning opportunities for growth and alignment with purpose. 6. Plan strategically. Allocate energy and resources for sustainable fulfillment. 7. Invest in legacy. Focus on lasting impact, not transient recognition. By embedding these lessons into daily life, individuals actively measure their lives rather than relying on external standards or reactive drift. Final reflections. How will you measure your life challenges us to see life as an ongoing series of strategic, ethical, and relationship-driven decisions. Wealth, fame, and status are secondary. The true metrics of a meaningful life are purpose, integrity, and the quality of connections nurtured along the way. Christensen encourages readers to act now, not postpone reflection or change. Every decision is an opportunity to align with your deepest values, to build relationships, to learn from setbacks, and to leave a lasting positive impact. The ultimate promise is empowering. You are the architect of your life. By consciously measuring choices, prioritizing people, protecting integrity, and aligning actions with purpose, you can craft a life that matters, not just to yourself, but to the world. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.